Introduce myself. My name is Melissa Shea, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fashion Mingle, which is a networking platform for fashion entrepreneurs. And the two entrepreneurs we have today are Tonee Marino, who comes from the music side of the business, and we'll have Isabella Barrett, who has been on, she's got several businesses. So we're gonna we're looking forward to talking to her about that. But we most recently met her as she started her own fashion design business, and she was a designer at Times Square Fashion Week, which we helped produce in September. So we are really thrilled to have Tonee here. Tonee, I don't often get to talk with members from the music industry, so I'm really happy to have you and hear all about your story.
Yeah, I'm excited to give anyone any possible tips I can and just share my knowledge about the music industry, because I've learned a lot over the years, and I'm just glad to share my experience with everybody.
Awesome. Well, hey, so go ahead and tell us about how you got started in the music business, and we're just really excited to learn more.
So for anyone that didn't hear, my name's Tonee Marino. I'm a 17-year-old rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer from Long Island, New York. I started making music when I was 11 years old, so it was around 2015. I started off by putting out cover videos on Instagram and YouTube. My platform was just growing as I put out more content. I was getting more attention, more fans. And after the first year, I figured now it's a good idea to start putting out my own music, because, just why not? So I put out a couple of my first singles with the help of some writers, because I was still young. I was like 11, 12 when I put out my first song. And eventually I just became more consistent and more involved with the production of my music. I now write my own lyrics, make my own beats, co-engineer in the studio. I help come up with the video concepts for my music videos. And yeah, it's just a crazy experience, and my life just continues to develop and excel over the years. I'm excited for the future. Hello. Oh, it just froze for a second. I don't know if you caught that.
Sorry, my internet went out for a second.
Did you catch everything I just said though? Or you want me to repeat it?
No, just go right ahead. Don't mind me. It just popped off for a second, but then I popped right back on.
Okay. So, did you catch everything I just said?
I missed the tail end of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I've been doing this for years. My knowledge has been increasing over the years. I started out having some songs written for me when I first started. My first couple, I'd say 5 songs, I had the help of some writers because I was young. I was 11, 12 when I put out my first single. And as time went on, I just gained interest in wanting to be my own artist. So I figured I should start writing my own lyrics. I started producing my own beats. I started co-engineering in the studio. I even helped develop some of the ideas for the videos when I do music videos. So everything's just growing as the years go on.
That's awesome. And we finally got Isabella on. I see you got him on with Tonee's link, which that's okay too. So thanks for joining us.
They didn't, I never got the link. They never sent it to me.
Okay, it's an automated link, so it could have ended up in your spam or something. Maybe that's what happened. The Zoom, you put in the panelists and then the Zoom automatically sends it out, but occasionally someone has trouble finding it in their email. So I'm sorry about that, but thanks for joining us, Isabella. We were just chatting with Tonee about the beginning of his career and what prompted him to become a music artist. I know you've actually been you've had a career since you were a toddler. So tell us about how you got started in the entertainment business, and then you ended up also getting into your own line of products and things.
Okay, yeah. So the first thing that I actually did that started my career My first company was Wear Your Wins accomplishment bracelets. It was a jewelry line for kids, teens, adults that did sports from karate, dance, gymnastics. I know many people did dance when they were younger. But yeah, that was my first thing that I did. And it was the name Wear Your Wins accomplishment bracelets, where kids could wear their wins on their wrist. So say you did dance or gymnastics and you were like level 6 or level 1, level 2, level 3, whatever you were, you could wear it on your wrist. And here are some of our charms. We have
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so yeah, we had everything from dance to gymnastics to cheer to anything. So that was a really big hit. And we also got that to go with Maddie and Chloe from Dance Moms. They did the dance charms. I know they did a lot of stuff with that. But yeah, that's what basically first started me off.
Very, very cool. And then you also have a business called Glitzy Gal, correct?
Yes, that's actually Glitzy Girl. That's just what's inside the
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we met, Fashion Mingle met both of you at Times Square Fashion Week, where Isabella, you were actually debuting your first fashion collection. Tell us about the collection.
Okay, so this is our 3rd season at New York Fashion Week, and my clothing line is called House of Barrett, as you already may know, and I'm actually wearing one of my pieces right now. And basically, why I created this was because growing up, I did pageants, as you know. Now I do modeling, and with that comes a lot of interviews, and you have to have the right outfits, but it can't be just like a plain dress. You obviously have to have some bling in there, and it has to look formal. But everything that I used to wear for that kind of stuff, it was always either itchy or uncomfortable, or honestly, it just wasn't cute enough for me. So, so I wanted to create something for teens who were doing kind of what I was doing, like interviews and all that. So I created a teen suit line. It's also for adults too. And I love to say kids love it because it's comfortable, and everyone else loves it because it's couture. It's comfortable couture, but I wanted to create something that everybody could wear for interviews, that was comfortable, that had a little spice on it. And
Now, I really thought it was a great collection. I mean, I've covered New York Fashion Week as a member of the media for over 10 years. So I've seen, like, I don't know, it feels like thousands of fashion shows. And I really felt like you actually are onto a really good thing here with a line of clothing for young women that is a little bit more formal, but has that nice edge to it. So I was really impressed with the collection.
Yeah, so I also do want to talk to you guys a little bit about like how I marketed my brand. So I was actually lucky enough to be on 3 different TV networks, Toddlers and Tiaras, which was on TLC, Bravo TV, Game of Crowns, and a series called Kids Entrepreneurs. And in all, I used all of these. They were a great way to promote my brand, and a great free, there's also many other great free platforms of advertising, but I use this as like the biggest step, my biggest platform to advertise everything I did. So I called it like exposure of my brand. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about the free promotion right now. So basically, yeah, anything like Instagram, Facebook, even Snapchat, Twitter, all of that, that's a great way to promote anything. Like I know I started a new thing on IGTV, which is new to me actually, and they just have a new thing called Reels. So I started an IGTV, and I started with business with Zilla, and basically I told everybody like business tips about how they can do what I'm doing, because I know like you look at it and you're like, wow, like how can I do that? That looks like really hard. It's actually, obviously it's not that easy. It's not just like, oh yeah, here you go, here's how you can do it. But I kind of put it in a nutshell for everybody to kind of see how they can do it, and maybe they have an idea that they want to accomplish. So
yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, both of you guys have such a great following already. I know, Tonee, your YouTube following is massive.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, like the 2 keys to growing is, I would say, persistence and patience. Persistence being like, let's say you have a product, you put it out, you can't just put it out and then expect it to go do numbers on its own. You have to I'd say like a week, even a month before it comes out. You got to attack it every single day. You really want to be annoying, honestly, because that's what makes you stick in people's heads, and that's what makes you stand out from others. Because you got to remember, there's hundreds of thousands of millions of other people who want to achieve the same goals as you. So I want to say that you got to be every day constantly posting people, reminding them that it's going to come out. When it comes out, you got to have a big reveal to make sure that everyone knows that it's out. And another thing is, with social media, even though it is a great tool, they do limit the amount of people who do see your posts. I think it's like below 10% of people that follow you actually see your posts when you post. So I want to say that you should be very persistent to make sure that you get the greatest number of people possible. And after it's out, don't just forget about it a month later. Like, you got to be making sure, like with songs, even though I drop a song every month, I still go back to songs that I dropped back in January, and I make sure that people are still onto that, because there's not all my followers have heard them. Because and with patience, like, no matter who tells you, like the biggest singer, the biggest fashion designer, things don't happen overnight. Like, for example, like Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs, like these guys started in their garage, and it took them years of work to get to where they are now. And it's not like, you shouldn't just give up hope just thinking that, oh, maybe it's not working for me, or maybe this isn't the right thing for me, because you could be doing all the right things. You could be putting enough work in, but maybe it's just not the right time for you. Like, everyone's going to have their time if you're putting in the necessary work. And you're also going to see that you're going to improve with what you're doing if you're putting in all the work over the time. So you got to be patient, and you're going to see that over time, you're going to notice that you're starting to get better and better. Like, even me, I look back at things that I did 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. But at the time, I thought it was the hottest thing ever. But you're gonna see improvement if you're doing everything you need to be doing.
And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from the founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, who said he was an overnight success that was 10 years in the making.
Exactly.
And I think that that's something that, certainly a lot of people in this current, in the world that we live in now, you think that you're going to be able to start a business, and, you've got all this social media at your fingertips, you've got all this digital marketing at your fingertips, but you're, like you said, Tonee, you're competing with thousands, if not millions of people who want the same thing you do. So the only way to be ahead is to work harder than they do.
Right. So you have to make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure you're standing out from your competition, and to make sure that you're more active than your competition. I'm always active on social media. Even when I'm not working, I'm still working. Like, always gotta be on top of it.
That's the thing that amazes me about both of you guys, is how much you've accomplished at such a young age. I mean, Isabella, with everything that you've had going on all these years, I mean, was there ever time for you to be a normal kid, or are you just so passionate about being an entrepreneur that you're just constantly dreaming up new business ideas?
So I kind of call it that I live the Hannah Montana life. So, like, basically, when I go out to New York or wherever I have to go and do business, I do business. But also, like, when I come home, I go to school, I hang out with friends. I am a normal kid, obviously, so I do have to go to school and all that. But yes, there is some times where I am home and I do think about business. I think about business all the time. Like, that's always on my mind. But yeah, I kind of call it the Hannah Montana life.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, obviously, I think there's a big difference that between the younger generation of entrepreneurs like you guys coming up, where social media is just such a normal part of your life, and where you have the older generation of entrepreneurs like myself who want to kill themselves if they have to actually post something on Instagram. So, I really admire just how dedicated you guys are to being on social media, because, that's the tool right now that really levels the playing field. And like you said, you have to be persistent. you know, when I was, you know, growing up and learning entrepreneurship, you know, the internet wasn't even invented. You know, so I mean, you did business in much different ways. So hats off to you guys for working so hard. Now, Isabella, you're on a TV show on Amazon right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, both of us, me and Tonee and I are actually.
Oh, both of you were on it. I didn't realize that.
We both are.
Yeah.
So tell us about that show and how that came to happen.
Okay, so basically, next big thing is about 18s on their uprise to success. So basically, in the caption called "Next Big Thing," it's kind of like you follow us on our journey to success. Basically, to also show kids obviously how we do it and like how it's not all that it seems, but it's also not that easy. Like we wanted to give everyone a behind the scenes look of what actually goes on.
Very, very cool. So Tonee, tell us about your experience on, is this the first television show that you've been on?
Yeah. I mean, I've done like a couple interviews on TV, but like as far as like an actual TV show, this is my first TV show that I've been on. And it's definitely different, but I mean, I'm used to being in front of cameras, shooting videos, everything, press, all like that. But it's definitely a different experience, like doing reality TV, and I like it. It's cool. I like trying new things, so I really like it. And I'm looking forward to everyone's reaction to when we drop these episodes in the first season. It's going to be something different.
Now, when does the first season start?
We're expected to come out like near the holidays. I'd say around Christmas time. But I mean, yeah, it's like not like a regular reality TV show. It's not like Housewives of whatever city. It's really a mix of drama and obviously like some fun. But it also showcases, like she said, it just shows everyone's path and how they came to develop themselves as the entrepreneur that they are. And it's showing what they're doing to get to the next step. So it's really cool.
Yeah. And I wanted to add something also, like I said before about like free advertising, being on a TV show anywhere or just being on a YouTube video or literally anything, it is a great way of free advertising.
For sure. Well, how did Isabella tell us how you got the opportunity to do the Amazon show? Because I mean, that is like something that most people will not have in their marketing toolbox. So how did you achieve that?
Well, honestly, I'm going to say it like straight out, like the easiest way to explain it. They were looking for successful kids. And, you know, Tonee and I were very lucky to be a part of this TV show.
Yeah. So do you have to like apply for it? I mean, do you guys keep your ears out for?
I mean, so, well, us two and a few other kids, we all met up at New York Fashion Week back in February 2020. And the idea was just presented to us by the producers of the show. And
so you're just in the right place at the right time.
8 of us figured like, why not? It's a cool idea. Let's do it.
That's awesome. And that is another amazing thing that's happened with streaming platforms, you know, that's just become something really available in the last couple of years, is to be able to produce your own reality show. And I've actually known a few people who, you know, used to cover New York Fashion Week the old fashioned way, you know, with the big cameras and all that. And people are actually creating shows out of that experience as well. So you guys are definitely getting to, you're getting to hit all the major marks of all the different types of new media and new promotion available to everybody. Tell us about what I'd love to hear. I mean, we know obviously that you're incredibly successful already at such a young age. But tell us about tell us some cautionary tales. Like, what were some mistakes that you made that you wish, you know, things that you would have done differently if you had more experience?
I have made mistakes along the line. Everyone makes mistakes. You know, you don't, a big thing is like, you really don't know what you're getting into until you actually get into it and you have like a long experience of it. when I first got into music, I didn't really think it'd be all about marketing and promotion. I thought it'd be mainly about the music, but it's really not. Music's a small part of it. And about making mistakes, I mean, I wouldn't take back any of the mistakes that I made, because I don't know if I'd be the same person I am right now. Making mistakes is like, everyone's gonna have failure, everyone's gonna make mistakes, and the most important thing about it is that you have to learn from it to make sure it doesn't happen again. And you're gonna learn from it, and it's a good thing to make mistakes. You don't gotta look at everything negatively, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way you learn, right, Isabella?
Right.
Yeah, so I definitely get where he's coming from. Me being like a business person, I have had many brands that have actually failed. Like in the past, I did something called Bear in a Box, and basically no one had done it before. So I was like, oh, you know what? This might be a great idea. Like this might become big. So basically the concept was like, if you had like a boyfriend or something and you guys had broke up and you want to send up like the breakup bear because you didn't want to break up with him or whatever in person. I just thought it was
Actually a really good idea, Isabella. How did that not take off?
yeah. So I know that there are companies out there like that now, but anyway, when I started that, it didn't really take off. And the main thing I learned from that is if a brand's not working out, then don't be afraid to let it go. And I do want to add, right now is a great time for anybody, teens, adults, whatever you are. If you have an idea, start that business, because there's so many ways to do advertising. You have Instagram, YouTube right now. TikTok is a really big platform right now. And just, it's a great time to start your business. And if you have a goal, chase that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And pace yourself, realize it's going to take a while. Can you give us some tips on like, what are the fundamental things you need to have in place in order to have a professional business that will actually take off?
Okay.
You can go. You go.
No, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Okay. So I just want to put this out there, by the way. I don't have corona. That's the worst part about everything now, is because like now is like the cold season, so everyone's getting a cold and everyone's automatically like, oh my god, corona. No, it's just a cold.
Right.
All right, so my sorry, I have 5 tips right now, and I told you about the free marketing on social media, so that's definitely my biggest tip. And if guys, if you hear a baby, it's my little sister. So yeah, that's my biggest one. And I do want to talk about that again. Don't launch a product if you don't have a way to market it. Like if you're just going to launch a product and be like, oh yeah, here's like my product. Yeah, I sell this like on the low. No, you want to be able to put it out there marketing. So keep in mind that your product is a smaller part of your business. Living, breathing, and advertising makes up 60 to 70% of your overall success. So Tonee, you want to share one of your tips? Then we can just go.
This goes for any business really. The number one thing I would say is to also block out negativity. You're gonna get a lot of shade from people just for the fact that you're doing something that they're not. So don't let any negative energy knock you off course of your goals. If people have time to make negative comments about what you're doing, then they're just wasting their own time because they're not bettering themselves. So I would say keep a positive mindset. That's what's going to help you advance and not get caught up in just irrelevant things. Obviously, self-promotion is very important. Social media, I would recommend having social media on every possible platform: Instagram, YouTube, all that. The more platforms you attack, the more different people you're going to come in contact with, because maybe someone has Twitter, but they don't have Instagram. So you want to make sure you hit every angle. Also, something I learned is that you got to believe in yourself more than anyone else is going to believe in you. Because when I first started out, I really, like, besides my family, which I give all credit to for believing in me, because I know that not everyone has a supportive family. Don't rely on your friends. Don't rely on your hometown just because you're from there. Don't rely on them to have your back and be there for you at all times. Because honestly, that's not how it is most of the time. Because I learned that random people that I've never met in my life could be more supportive than the people you grew up with. And you also just don't put a limit to the amount of work that you do. Like I'm working basically from all the hours that I'm awake. I'm always working, so don't put a limit on yourself. And as harsh as it sounds, you gotta not be lazy. Like the moment you sit down and say, oh, all right, I don't feel like doing work right now, I just want to relax, then you're letting other people who are working at all times pass you. So you want to make sure that you're on top of your game at all times and just be yourself. Like, obviously, you need to take influence from some people here and there, little bits and pieces to build yourself. But I wouldn't just follow one thing just because it's cool at the moment, because what's cool now is not going to be cool later. So just do you and never give up. Don't think just because something's not happening or something's not going right for you right now, don't think it won't go right in a month, in a year, in 2 years. Just keep doing it. If you think this is what you want to do, just keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's really good advice, Tonee.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have 2 more important things that I want to say. So the next thing, like kind of a tip, is something that I learned from, is you have to have a solid business plan in order to run a smooth business and have a smooth like path. So if you have an idea, make sure you have all your steps laid out, like how you're marketing that brand, you know, how you're going to be making that brand, like what's like, put something out so everybody knows what you're doing. And the second one is a great thing with Twitter is if you're always on Twitter, you're active on Twitter, kind of like Instagram. The more you post on Twitter, like I posted a photo from the event I was at 4 days ago, and all the photos that I posted on Twitter are now on Google. And I know Twitter does that a lot because you can look up basically anybody on Google and their Twitter pictures will come up. So that's another great way, because anything from Twitter goes on Google, and Google's probably the biggest thing ever. So
yeah, one of my tips about that too is always, like, you know, there's every photo has a file name. So actually name the photos with a keyword search term. So it might be your name, it might be music artist, it might be fashion designer, but that actually, once you put it out there, it actually gets picked up by Google Images. And so you can actually, your pictures can appear all over the place. It's really important to name your files. Let's let our attendees ask some questions. If you've got a question that you would like to ask Tonee and Isabella, just please post it in the chat, and then we'll get back to you in a few minutes and they can answer those questions. Now, Isabella, you've got a book coming out called Teen's Guide to Business. And I mean, clearly you're a wealth of information. So tell us about this book.
okay, so it kind of goes along with what I was talking about with my IGTV. I want kids to be able to, like, if they have a dream they want to accomplish, if they have a business that they really want to do, I want to be able to guide them and help them through the process, because I was there where they were at right now at one point in my life, and now I'm here. So I want to be able to show them what I was able to do and the tips that I have. So my book is really about how they can do what I'm doing and just things to guide them through. A team's guide.
And so is that going to be on Amazon?
I believe we're going to put it on the Amazon Books, I think it's called, or Amazon Audible, or whatever it's called. But
Okay.
it will be available in bookstores, online, and probably Amazon.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's great. Well, we have a really great question here from Caroline. How has your social media platforms grown during the pandemic? Have you seen any change in, like, have more people been engaged during COVID or less?
My numbers haven't grown quite a lot, but I could see that there's a little growth because I guess, like, since everyone's being home, they have more time to spend on social media and on Instagram like that. My fastest growing video on YouTube actually dropped during the coronavirus pandemic. It's called Disconnected. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. But it got 500,000 views within the first month of its release, which is the fastest growing video I've dropped.
And Tonee, your music, you've got, they're on iTunes and Google Play.
Yeah, my music's available on any platform, all digital stores, whatever you listen to. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how about you, Isabella? How has COVID affected your business?
Again, like Tonee said, my numbers obviously didn't like jump to like 100,000, obviously, but yes, I did see some growth during the pandemic. And I guess like everyone was obviously home. They were all on YouTube, Instagram, because I know sometimes I'd sit there all day and just binge Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So I basically stayed home and focused on my brand and started my IGTV. Interacting with my fans was the biggest thing, like commenting to everybody, interacting, DMing everybody back, my IGTV, my Instagram, and just putting out as much content I could for people to get my numbers up.
That sounds good. Adriana actually has a question that I think ties into that really well. Says she's a small influencer on a few social media platforms, but she wants to start her own clothing line, and she wants to know if you have any tips to start it up. But it sounds like some of the things that you did, which was replying back in comments, DMing people, keeping content coming out, that's probably the way you really have to get started, right?
Yeah, so basically that's how I would interact with your fans, but how you get started is once you have an idea, make sure you have a fan base that is going to be there to support you and that is going to support you with what you want to do. So let's say, yeah, you wanted to start a clothing line. So I would obviously, figure out how you're going to make your sample pieces first, put them out and just see how everybody's reaction is going to be. And then after you do that and you figure out like what they like, then I would focus on like what the trend is recently, because that's my biggest thing. Like I focused on the trend with the teens and everybody, because that's my demographic. So figure your demographic out and then make your stuff based on them. And yeah, basically marketing and getting your brand out there as much as you can. Again, with what Tonee said, being annoying about everything you do is a really great thing, because the more people see your face, the more they're going to remember you. Just like when you hear that song over and over again, you start singing it in your head, people are going to remember your name in their head.
Now, I know, starting a fashion label has a lot of steps to it. And so obviously, yeah, you had to create your samples. Now, I think you mentioned earlier that your line is couture, which usually means it's made to order. Is that how you sell your brand?
We have it online. Sorry. We have it online. We have it in a few small boutiques right now, but we're working on getting it into more bigger boutiques, but it's online mostly. Yes.
Okay. So you do have an inventory then.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about, I'll use Kylie Jenner as my example. She did her stuff by private labeling. And that's basically what I did, because I figured out by watching her interviews and everything that private labeling is probably the best thing you can do with your line.
Oh, so give us an example of we'll tell everybody what private labeling is, because I don't think that they'll know.
Okay, so I made a blazer line, but with someone else. So it wasn't just me alone. I collabed with somebody else. And it was in JCPenney. So that's private labeling, because you're not selling it directly from you. You're partnering with someone else and selling it through a different company.
Okay. Okay, cool. So Kylie Jenner, that's something that she did, and she shared a lot of tips on how to do that.
Yeah, she did many great interviews. Kylie Jenner is just an amazing person overall. She's very successful from the TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She has her skincare line. She does have something with clothing. I do know that, a lot of collabs. But she's just a great person. She's one of my idols. Yes, she's an amazing person to learn from, and she does give great interviews with many great tips.
Very, very cool. So, so Tonee, do you have what do you have coming up next for your music label?
So you guys could expect a new song from me every month. I drop a new song every month. I also have a music video for my song Four More, which came out in June. You could expect a music video for that within the next 2 to 3 weeks. and just some new content. I'm always exploring new things. I like making new music. I like putting up cool content on my social media. So if you guys have Instagram, if you listen to music on Spotify, if you watch YouTube videos, make sure you check out my music and my platform at Tonee Marino, ToneeMarino.
Okay, yeah, feel free for both of you guys to put your, your Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want people to follow in the comments so people can click right over and start following you. Tonee, I know a bit about how hard it is to create films, and working in media at New York Fashion Week has taught me a lot about that side. But tell us about what it's like to create a music video. And give us some tips, because that's, to do a really great video of anything is a lot of hard work and a lot of hard planning. So tell us how that worked for you.
So thankfully for me, I met this great guy over social media, actually, which is why you guys need to stay on top of social media. I met this great videographer. His name's Philly Flyboy. He's done stuff with Lil Baby, T.I., Young Thug, big names. We connected over social media, and I figured I'd try him out. He was actually my first approach as far as like a videographer, and I just tried doing one video with him just to see like how I would think he made me look and like how the video would come out. And I just love his atmosphere. I love the energy. He's a great guy. We have a great relationship now. Like, we're friends, and yeah. So we now, like, to the point we're at now, we usually just bounce ideas back and forth. Like, I'll send him a song, and then he'll be like, "Ooh, I think this is cool." We'll talk about locations. We'll talk about the theme of the music video, if we want to do like a storyline, everything like that. So that's also an important thing I actually want to add. Like, for business, it's very important to have relationships and connections, because you know that you could trust this person with something. Like, that's why me and him have such a great relationship, and we understand each other. So yeah, I mean, music videos is really a fun experience.
Very cool. Now, Isabella, you said you've shown your collection at New York Fashion Week 3 times. That's quite an accomplishment. So tell us a little bit about that experience for any aspiring designers who would like to also be involved with New York Fashion Week.
Yeah, so again, like I said about advertising and marketing, New York Fashion Week was really great for me. Getting in contact with them, obviously, that was a little bit more harder, because you have to show them your brand. They have to make sure that, like, oh, you're worthy enough to put it in New York Fashion Week, But also just attending New York Fashion Week, that's the first thing I did, what made me want to get into fashion. I attended New York Fashion Week, and that was a really great thing for me to do, because it showed me, like, it gave me ideas, number one, about what I wanted to do with my brand and how I wanted to create it. But it also gave me many ideas on how I wanted to put it out there,
Mm-hmm. Right. So did you actually show on the official schedule through IMG?
Yes.
Wow, that is an accomplishment, because that's a big barrier to cross. There's a lot of independent shows going on, and I know that's how you did Times Square Fashion Week with us, which is a new independent show that'll be happening every September. With New York Fashion Week for February is right around the corner, and it's going to be like, who knows exactly what's going to happen, but we do know that it's unlikely to have real shows. Do you have any plans for February?
So yeah, like I said, this is our 3rd/4th season showing at New York Fashion Week. And actually, my first company that I showed at New York Fashion Week, it wasn't House of Ready. It was actually called Bound by the Crown. And I was younger when I was obviously doing that. So it was based for more of a younger demographic. Now I'm older, and I figured out like what teens like, because now I'm going through my teen years. So now it's more like formal stuff. But yeah, I do think my plans for February Fashion Week, I do want to show, and I'm definitely going to figure out what they are going to be doing, because New York Fashion Week is a really great thing, and I love it for my brand.
Yeah, I was just reading an article where it was saying that the brands that did really well during September were the ones that had something going on virtually, but also something going on in person. So I think it's going to be very complicated to figure out what the right formula is for the next 2 seasons. Hopefully we'll only have to go through one more year of COVID, and maybe by 2022 we'll be back to normal. But I wish you a lot of luck in figuring out a game plan for February. We've got one final question before we sign off. One of our attendees wants to know about breaking into the beauty industry. Isabella, you've been involved in that, so tell us a little bit about what you've done on the beauty side, and give us any tips for that.
Yes, so for people who do not know, I just started a skincare line that also goes with House of Barrett. House of Barrett isn't just suits. We have hair care and skincare. And with skincare, we have lip products, obviously, because that's skincare. But yeah, I think right now, that's probably the best thing I did, because everybody was home and they were actually getting to, like, they were home, so they had nothing else to do. So they were just, sitting there. They'd get up, look in the mirror every day. And I had horrible skin when I was becoming a teen, like, and hitting puberty. My skin was so bad, and I could never find, like, anything that would solve it for me. So I basically found what works for me, and we made an all natural skincare brand, House of Barrett. But where I got my inspiration is actually Kylie Jenner with her Kylie Skin. That was really great. And a lot of people for the beauty industry, there's many, you see all these beauty influencers, James Charles, even like the little beauty influencers. Social media influencers are the easiest and most popular way to promote a beauty brand. That's what they get paid to promote. So you can pay them to promote your skincare. And I think that's a great way to start out, paying influencers to promote your brand, because influencers, I know I go onto YouTube right now and I look up makeup tutorials all the time to see what I can do new. And I see many indie brands, and I've reviewed for many indie brands too. That's a great way to, if you want to start a beauty line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, working with influencers, is definitely, it can be successful if you match the right influencer with the right product. I know that's something that a lot of our designers in our Fashion Mingle network like to do, is work with influencers. Do you have any particular influencers that you personally do you actually hire influencers right now to promote your brand?
Yes, so right now, I know when everybody starts a brand, they put out like PR packages where they send them to people and they do free reviews. So I'm going to be doing that with my skincare. But I am also a beauty influencer. For everybody that might not know, I'm an entrepreneur, mini mogul, all of that. But I'm also an influencer. I do like reviews on other people's products. But I have worked with a lot of celebrities, like I said, the dance moms. We private labeled dog tags. I'm sure everybody knows who Logan Paul and Jake Paul are. We private labeled dog tags for Logan and Jake Paul, Team 10. And we did things for the housewives. Actually, they promoted my my jewelry line, Glitzy Girl. I know they did charms for the housewives of New Jersey, the housewives of literally the housewives of everywhere now.
All the housewives.
Yeah, all the housewives. But yeah, I think partnering with influencers and big people is a great thing that you could do.
It definitely is, actually, because I myself, even though I'm a musician, I get submissions and DMs all the time like, yo, I love you to check out my product. I got t-shirts, I got hoodies, I got whatever it is. Like this one brand, actually, there's another thing you could do besides paying the influencers. I work with this guy. His brand is called Milk. It stands for making everything look cool. And it's basically like you can work out a deal where you send the person the product and you make them a promo code. So every time you get a sale and someone uses their personal promo code, they'll get a percentage of that sale. So that's another way you could like use influencers for promoting your brand.
Yep, yeah, that's called affiliate marketing, and we actually have worked with that with our Fashion Mingle members a lot, and helping to promote their products.
Yeah, so I did want to add, going back to like the little influencer, like collabing brands, you see like these little brands that are commenting underneath your Instagram posts, like, hey, we love your style, like DM us and we'll send you free clothes. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like what if I do that and like it's not gonna work, like nothing's gonna happen. Anything, like I said, free advertising is amazing. Like just so you get your name out there, even in the littlest ways, those 3 followers or 5 followers that you might get from that will add up in the end to make you something. So
And I also want to add something.
advertising.
I also want to add something. Make sure you take every opportunity, because I'll give you guys a good example. One time I had this small show to show up to, like last year when I was doing shows like very often. I didn't really feel like going at first because it was only going to be like 50 people at most, and I was like, ugh, like I don't want to travel and go there. But I was like, nah. What if something good comes out of it? So I get to the place, I do my 2 songs or whatever, I don't really remember. But there's a guy in the front row of the crowd and he really liked my stuff. So after the show was over and I was done performing, he came up to me, he's like, yo, I love what you're doing, bro. I love your music. I'm setting up an event with Jay Critch and Lou Got Cash next week at York College in Queens. If any of you are from New York, that's a big college in Queens. But so just from that small event, which I could have turned down just because I had a lazy mindset at that moment, I wouldn't have been able to open for Jay Critch and be in front of thousands of people. And I met so many great people that night. So that just shows like you guys got to take any opportunity that is given to you.
Yeah, I've personally found that when there's something I just don't want to go to because I'm just like feeling lazy or I don't think it's going to actually be anything of value, that's actually the thing that I force myself to go turns out to provide me with the greatest opportunity.
Exactly, right.
It's like something in the universe.
Yeah. So any of the attendees, and if you guys want to DM me on my Instagram, I'll send you some of my skincare and you guys can put out reviews too and be my influencers.
Oh, that's so nice of you, Isabella. That's so sweet.
I typed in the chat my Instagram and it's Isabella Barrett on all other platforms.
Lovely, lovely. That's awesome. Well, I really wish you guys so much success. It's going to be really fun watching your careers grow. And I really appreciate you sharing all this wonderful advice with our Fashion Mingle audience. And if you are attending the webinar today on Facebook Live or on Zoom, we invite you to become a member of Fashion Mingle so that you can mingle with people like Tonee and Isabella. And we have over 6,000 members in over 100 categories. And we're all about connecting with people in the fashion industry and in the beauty industry and all the industries that work together to make everybody successful. So jump on to fashionmingle.com and sign up for a free profile and you'll be on the list. So thank you so much, Tonee and Isabella. Do you have any parting wisdom to share with our audience?
I just want to share, I do have a new song coming out this Friday. It's called All Good. So anyone that's on this chat, make sure you check it out. I put my Instagram and all my other social media in the chat. It's Tonee Marino, TONEEMARINO. And best of luck to you guys. And make sure you follow your dreams. Don't let any negativity take you off track. And if this is really what you want to do, go for it, 100%.
Love it.
Yeah, you can stay tuned on my Instagram for Business with Bella. There's already some up there right now, actually. I have a lot of tips to success. Stay tuned for my show, Next Big Thing. You can follow them on Instagram at Next Big Thing NYC. I'll put it in the chat as well. But stay tuned for Tonee and I's rise and see what we're doing.
Fabulous. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and definitely
thank you all you guys.
It was really nice to get to know you better, and looking forward to seeing you hopefully at New York Fashion Week.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Have a great evening.
Goodbye, you too.